You know, I was walking down Kensington. This is Kensington in Liverpool. Alright, and I saw this and I thought, well, this is a bit of a contradiction, isn't it? Huh? Gilbert Dear Ministries, Liverpool. Come expecting restoration in your life. Well, how about restoration of the building, mate? Hey? These are boys, you see, of the Pentecostal charismatic movement, an offshoot of Christianity, alright, which people take as being Christianity, but it isn't, it's pseudo-Christianity. As we've said before, and we shall continue to say, it is a mimicking of Christianity, and a very bad mimicking of Christianity, alright? Not everyone that says they're a Christian are actually Christians, alright? And we're stupid if we believe that everyone who says they're a Christian is a Christian. Now, how strange it is that they should advertise with a nice clean board, come expecting restoration in your life. Well, possibly, if you begin with the outside of the building, that would help. Because what they're saying here is that God can transform your life, but He can't transform this building. Of course, now it's shut down. I wonder why. I mean, this is the stupidity of man. All right? And we'll keep pushing this, that there are many denominations in this world, many men, and indeed women, Joyce Meyer, for instance, Amy Semple McPherson, Helen White of the Seventh-day Adventist movement, who claim to have God, right, on their side. Look at it. And if you go into these buildings, into their buildings, into their ministry, you can be restored. And you know, the sad thing is that there are persons that actually go into these buildings and believe the rhetoric that they can be restored, but outwardly they never say to themselves, hang on a minute, they can't even restore their own pig in building, so how can God be with them? I make no apologies for being overly religious here, but it is just to point out the bare facts of life, how people can be so gullible as to go into places like this and think, yeah, I'll chuck me hard-earned wages into a bucket, support the lifestyle of this so-called minister of religion, and yet on the outside, it's telling them that the person inside is a charlatan. How can he be shouting from the housetops that he is empowered of God when he can't go outside and say zap and the building is put to rights, it's restored? How can you have a restoration of your life if you can't have a restoration of the pig in building? And it is so sad, you know, it really is sad that people put in their hard-earned wages, they go to work on a Monday, finish on a Friday or Saturday or Sunday, whatever hours they work, and they get their wages, they pay the taxes, inclusive of national insurance in the UK, because that's a tax, okay? But the British government will not admit it's a tax, but it is a tax regardless, just as much as when you buy a TV license, sadly. That's a tax. Why on earth people want to buy a pigging TV, I don't know. And then go and pay the Bent Broadcasting Corporation 145 quid for a TV license to be able to switch it on, to be indoctrinated with all the lies of the government of the day and the media of the day. Well, baffles common sense, doesn't it? You know, when we that pay for the internet, well, sorry, I do not pay for the internet anymore. I had an argument with my provider. I said, you can stuff your 300 quid a year, mate, where the sun don't shine. If you're going to pig and block me from commenting, alright, because I commented on a certain site which the government controls concerning the late Princess Diana. Illegal murder, wasn't it? The video. So they blocked me. So I said, stuff that, mate. Up yours. So I blocked them. Took it straight off. Went out and bought a laptop with Wi-Fi, naturally, facilities, which was cheaper than paying for the internet provider. I won't be taken for a ride. Sod that. If you're going to block me, well, tough, mate. You're going to stand your side, I'm going to stand mine, and I'm going to take my business elsewhere. So you lose out and I gain. Thank you very much. Same with TV. You can stuff that. And I will certainly take charge of my own life, of what I want to watch, by simply going on the internet, and if I fancy to download this and that film, I shall do so. Thank you very much, and it's costing me bugger all. If I want to watch a documentary, I'll download it. And again, cost me bugger all. So on and so forth. I am then in control. Alright? How sad it is that we live in a day and age that is so shallow and so superfluous that persons will sadly go into these places. This isn't the only place. We have hundreds in America who found a niche. Businessmen, businesswomen who found a niche. That people are looking for some purpose in life, and they turn to these prosperity gospelers and sit there, put in their hard-earned money to these buckets that are passed round. Well, they're not just passed round nowadays, they're just set out in various aisles for people to put their hard-earned money in, so the minister can buy his $10 million Learjet to fly around the world, to drink champagne and cocktails and live a debauched life behind the scenes. Alright? It's just how life is, isn't it? And we sit back and we say, yes, this is how life is, and as far as I'm concerned, I shall go down to the shops and I shall go and buy my food and I shall entertain myself and do what is right, and sod the whole lot. The world's going to hell in a handbasket. Let the sheep go their way. I am not going to join in the company of this lot and take charge of my life. And I'm not going to be beguiled into this nonsense. And that's how we live and enjoy our lives. And we laugh, do we not? At all the stupidity that is poured out of the sewer that is government and media. And again, how sad it is that persons go to these places and they don't observe that the places themselves, and this is an exception, that they're not maintained by the very God that they profess inside. This is just a remark, a video on just how gullible people are, and we continue on to express just how gullible people are. Sad, isn't it? Sad day and age. You know, my parents and their parents would never have fallen for this lot. In no wise would they have fallen for this lot. Because they were properly educated, you see. They understood. They lived through the hard times. And hard times make men and women. And put a divide in society between the men and the women and those that fail. And sadly, so many do fail. Because that's the way the world is. But they certainly would not have fallen for this. But you see, in this shallow generation, anything goes. There's no such thing nowadays as respecting your fellow man. It's all self-centered. It's no more love thy neighbour as thyself, do unto thy neighbour as you would have done unto you. It's a mere matter of going, say, into a supermarket. You don't care who's behind you. You don't care if you're standing in a doorway, blocking everybody. You don't care if you're on a mobile phone, on a train, giving your life story and your bank details to every bugger that doesn't want to know. There are few today, you see, in this shallow age that would sit down and talk face to face with a fellow human being. It's a sad day, isn't it? But of course, those of us that know the standards that we should keep are quite content and happy to go along and just shake our heads at these buffoons that think they're something on these mobile phones, and they're waffling on and they don't see what we see, that basically they are shallow. They want to impress people. Aren't they the man? The persons go up the street in speeding cars thinking, oh, look at me. Persons go along the road there with the blasting out of the awful what they call music. Such is the day, and such is the man. And here we have it again. We'll close on this. How sad again is it that people fall for this nonsense? Wages are very hard earned, especially today, when corrupt managers, corrupt businesses try to get the cheapest of labours, even from abroad. $1 million companies. And I've seen it. And I've seen how they treat people. And as a manager, I would never, ever treat people less than myself. We are, at the end of the day, worth something. We are, as individuals, worth an awful lot. And you know, governments even tell us if we have ears to hear and eyes to see. Because when the Tony Blairs of this world go into sovereign countries and kill men, women and children, and they wipe their bloody mouths and they say, collateral damage. What are they saying? That the people are worth more than the country. Because they call the dead collateral damage. That's the word they use. Collateral means, in a political sense, that you can borrow against the people. The people are the collateral. They are worth something. And so money is lent because we are worth something. Then they turn around and say we're worth nothing. We're just cannon fodder. This is the political way. And the day that the sheeple begin to realize that this in front of us, these charlatans are taking them for a ride, is the day that the prosperity gospelers will cease to fleece the sheep and to do an honest day's work or put a gun to their head or take an overdose, as in Amy Semple Macpherson, wasn't it, who was a minister in the 1800s, who was so sad, even though she claimed to heal people, and it was a con because she admitted in the end that the persons that she healed were not, in fact, ill or invalids. And of course she disposed of herself by drink and drugs and died in the same. Isn't it sad? This is just a reflection upon the other side of society, the so-called religious aspect of society that we have to deal with, just one of the many aspects. And if we get upset and these things start to destroy our lives, then they win. At the end of the day, we should take things academically. They shouldn't ruin our lives. Politics, politicians, governments, the media should never ruin our lives. They are just as bad as this boy here, Gilbert, Dear, probably an African, selling his wares. And you know, at the end of the day, this lot here reflects governments around the world. They're in pieces, they're in shambles, and they're still preaching inside that they are the best, that they can transform the world. But they themselves are utterly, utterly debauched, cannot even save themselves, cannot alter their lives, cannot alter anything about them because they're debauched. So how can they possibly rule a country for the benefit of that country? And I'll say this, and I said this to Paul, one of my workers, at the time, in the 80s. How can New Labour, the Labour government of the UK, possibly order the finances of the UK when it is debauched, it is in debt, The actual party was over £1 million in debt, so how can it control the finances of the country? And yet people will vote it in. You watch. And you know, when the elections came up, who got in? New Labour. Nobody ever sat and figured out, hang on a minute, hang on a minute. If they can't manage their own finances, how the hell can they manage the finances of the government? Of the people? Of the country? They couldn't. And we come back to this. How can this bugger here, Gilbert Deere Ministries, sort out the lives of the people if he can't sort out his picking building? Huh? We should live by example. That's what life teaches. Not by rhetoric. And again, let us never let these, I'll say it, bastards, because that's what they are. They are bastards. Because they're never pulled up. You're a bastard. That's the old-fashioned term. If you're not pulled up, you're bastards. You're left without chastisement. Verbal, physical chastisement. Because chastisement is two. You can have either physical, smack on the bottom, or a stern face towards those that are unruly. We're going to go back in these videos to what it really means, the old-fashioned means of words and such like. Because today we are fed with politics, politics and more politics. We're not going to be pandering to political speech. When politicians say, oh, you shouldn't chastise your kids, everybody goes, oh, that means slapping them. No, it doesn't. It means giving them a stern rebuke. Words, that's chastisement. A stern face, that's chastisement. When politicians say, child, what is that term? Paedophiles. Every bugger's going around saying, paedophiles, he's a paedophile. No, he's not. That's political terms. He's a child molester or a child buggerer. Depends what he's up to or she's up to. Let's get back to the nitty-gritty. Let's get back to the true world, not the political world. Let's pull ourselves out of this political world of spiel. The person that says, I'm free from politics and all this, and then says, oh, paedophile, paedophile. Well, I'm sorry, but you're still in politics, mate, because you're reiterating the words of politics. We need to get back to the basics. We need to examine what we say to find out if it's political speech or the common speech that we all should have, regardless of politicians. Call a spade a spade. Simple as that. I tell you what, government, by heck, it wouldn't know what to do. If we all began to speak plainly instead of politically, the pigging government wouldn't know what to pigging do, would it? Oh, we've lost control of the people, because that's how they control us. One of the methods how they control us, by political speak. We're all going meh, meh, to political speak. Huh? And we do it unconsciously. There are many words that we take as being normal, but they're not. The political speak. And if we're in political speak, we mean we're in the political field of deception. Multitasking, they say these days. Oh, he or she is multitasking. Well, that's political speak. The person that can do more than one job is simply a person that can do more than one job at the same time. It's very important we should get back to common speaking, to pull away from the government. If we are going to pull away from the government, we need to get back to plain speaking. I once said to a chap, don't tell me about a spade is a spade, because I know a spade is a spade. Except if you go into Toxic and you don't say a spade is a spade there. Simple reason, because the political speech said you shouldn't. You know what I mean? Hint, hint. But it's how it is. Here we have Gilbert Deere Ministries, the charlatan, making money off the backs of others. We should guard ourselves against these persons. We should think. It is very difficult, mind you, in this day and age when everything rushes in, isn't it? Overpowers us. I've seen it myself, I've experienced it myself, and I've said, hang on, whoa, whoa, whoa. You know, it all comes flooding in over your head and it swamps you. You've got to stand back and you've got to say, hang on a minute, what's going on here? Whoa. And you've got to try and clear your way through all this stuff that the media and government is swamping us with. And it is difficult. And we need persons, particularly on the internet, to point out things. And I'm very, very grateful indeed for persons pointing out things, correcting even my understanding. Because at the end of the day, we're not as perfect as we might like to think we are. Although, if we begin to think we are perfect, we're idiots. We should always stand back, conclude we're not as wise as we think we are. We should be examining all things, and of course, again, if we have a very busy life, some of us do, we cannot always sit back and see what's going on. We need others to point it out. And we'll finish at that. And Mr. Gilbert, no doubt, has gone on to the next building and is fleecing others, even as our government fleeces us. And of course, the Bent Broadcasting Corporation fleeces people as they sit in front of their televisions and they pay their £145, and indeed they're penalised by the BBC, aren't they? Because if you don't pay up front your £145 for all this nonsense and allow us to be in control of your life, of what you should think and of what you should do, then we'll penalise you, as I say. We'll add £5 on, because you can pay it in instalments, and if you pay it in instalments, we'll fine you £5. Because we demand of you, straight up £145. And if you don't pay up, we are going to penalise you. We're going to set a £5 penalty on you. So you're going to pay us £150. And what is more, we're going to increase it. And because we are the tool of the government is going to approve the increase year on year. Your wages may go down, your bills may go up, your everyday bills, your water bills, your electric bills, your gas bills, etc., council taxes. And we are going to pig and penalise you beggars. We're going to put our bill up. And then what are you going to do? What are you going to do? You're going to pay up, aren't you? Even though the revenue that is coming into your house, your home, the house that you've made your home, is going down, we don't give a damn. All we care about is getting our money in for our productions that you are going to listen to. And we're going to feed you lies and deception and rule your lives and make your lives a pigging misery. Because we're going to take that 145 quid, probably next year 150 quid, following year 160 quid, and so on and so forth. What are we going to do? Are we going to take charge of our own lives? We're going to say to the BBC, bugger you, I'm off. No more. I'm going to turn my TV into a monitor. I'm going to download stuff off the internet free of charge, and I can go on pigging holiday with that 145 quid. Or feed myself properly. Or put the gas on properly, the lights on properly. I'm going to save 145 pigging quid a year. Amen.